What's going up, bull runners? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an awesome video for you. Today was a huge piece of news for the financial markets. The CPI data came out, and it was actually positive news for something in the economy today, which was really great. So we're going to be covering the CPI data, what it means, and that way you can have an idea and understanding of what this does for the economy, for crypto, right? We saw a big pump from Bitcoin. We saw a big pump from Ethereum. Unfortunately, XRP still continuing to get manipulated, but we will cover that in the charts today as well. So today we're going to be covering CPI. What does it mean? How does it affect you? We're going to be also covering the charts. We're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also XRP. And at the very end, we're also going to show you how you can join us here at the Bull Runners Club. So that way it doesn't matter to you whether the markets go up or down, because you could be making money with us here at the Bull Runners Club. The link is right down below in the description. You can click on that first link there, sign up. It is free to get started. No credit card needed. Go check that out. But we're also going to explain that at the end of this video. So if you stick with me till the very end, we're going to go over that in detail. So here, let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off. Let's look at the charts real quick and see what happened. All right, so if you are like me and you were up this morning and you looked at the charts, it would have been right here. And this morning it was looking like, oh my gosh, we are going to explode to the upside, because this was like while we were sleeping, you wake up in the morning, boom, we have this magic 1 hour candle to the upside, which absolutely exploded. Obviously, right now we are having a severe dip again with XRP. We take a look at Bitcoin this morning. Boom. Oh yeah, we're on track. We're going to be back to the moon, baby. This hour, bam, supreme crash. Ethereum this morning, you wake up, boom, we're on the way up. Why? Because of CPI data that came out. It was very good news. Let's go take a look at that news. All right, here we are. For those of you guys that are into the markets, or you want to learn, you want to get better, whether you're a day trader or a long-term holder, it does not matter. But this website is called Forex Factory. It is free. You can actually go there and set up an account, or you can just, you can see I'm not even logged in. You just come over here to forexfactory.com. And as we can see right here this morning at 8:30 a.m. Now, remember, I'm in Pacific time. So you may be wondering like, well, you said 5 a.m. Well, this is 5:30 a.m. Pacific or Eastern time. And here's what we got, right? So the United States dollar, and it tells you which currency, which country important news is coming out. Yellow is intermediate news. Red is called red folder news. And this is very important in the currency trading industry, whether you're doing Forex or indices or crypto. This does actually matter compared to what's going on. So as we can see right here, United States CPI data month over month, we had a forecast of 0.4. The previous was 0.1, and it came out actual 0.4. So it came out at the exact prediction of what they thought it was going to be. Now, here's the really, really big important one, which is the CPI year over year. And this is the most important one. We can see here that it was 4.9. All right. So we had a forecast of 5.0. 5.0 was the forecast. It came in, and the previous was 5.0. It came in at 4.9. So that means that the inflation numbers for consumers, what we are supposed to be feeling as actual consumers buying milk, eggs, gas, and so on, should be coming down. And then also core CPI, it was forecasted at 0.3. It was previously at 0.4. And right now it came in at 0.4. All right, we are having a nice little bounce here on XRP. I'm going to let you guys watch this on the 1 minute charts while I explain to you what the consumer price index is. So the consumer price index, or CPI, is a measure of the average change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a market basket of consumer goods and services. It's used to track inflation, or the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. CPI data is collected monthly by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or BLS, which surveys thousands of households across the United States to gather information on their spending habits. Hey, by the way, let me know down in the comments section, have you ever been surveyed by the BLS? I would like to know this. I personally have never been surveyed by the BLS, so I don't know who they are surveying. But let me know. Type in the comment section down below, YES, if yes, you have been surveyed by the BLS, or NO, no, if you have not been surveyed by the BLS. So go ahead and put that down in the comment section. The BLS uses this data to calculate the CPI by comparing the cost of the market of basket of goods and services in the current period to the cost of the same basket in a based period. The percentage change between these two periods is the CPI inflation rate. The CPI is broken down into various categories such as food, housing, clothing, transportation, and medical care, each of which has a different weight in the index based on how much consumers typically spend on these items. So why does CPI data matter? For one, it's a key economic indicator that helps policymakers make decisions about monetary policies, such as setting interest rates or adjusting government spending if inflation is high. Policymakers may take steps to cool the economy, such as raising interest rates, which we've been going through for a year now, to prevent it from overheating, which it hasn't, unfortunately, squashed that issue. On the other hand, if inflation is low, policymakers may take steps to stimulate the economy, such as lowering interest rates to encourage borrowing and spending, which, by the way, I cannot wait for these interest rates to go back down so we can go back to buying cars, buying houses, and buying other things where you could actually get a loan on. CPI data also matters to businesses who use it to make pricing decisions and adjust their supply chains. If the cost of raw materials or labor is rising, businesses may need to raise prices to maintain profitability. CPI data can also help businesses identify trends in consumer spending and adjust their marketing strategies accordingly. Finally, CPI data matters to consumers who use it to understand how prices are changing and adjust their own spending habits. For example, if the cost of food is rising faster than other categories, consumers may choose to cut back on eating out or switch to cheaper alternatives. CPI data can also help consumers plan for future expenses, such as rent increases or changing in the cost of healthcare. The other question you may have is, okay, well, if they're doing this, how often does the CPI data come out? Well, the CPI, or Consumer Price Index, is typically calculated and released on a monthly basis by the BLS in the United States. The monthly CPI data report provides information on price changes for a basket of goods and services that are commonly purchased in the household, as we talked about earlier. And it is used as an indicator of inflation in the economy. However, the BLS also publishes other CPI reports on a less frequent basis, such as the CPIU, which covers all urban consumers, and the CPIW, which covers urban wage earners and clerical workers. These reports may be released on a quarterly or annual basis, depending on the data available. And so even if outside of the crypto markets, you take a look over here at the stock market this morning at 5:30 a.m., we had the huge surge and we have this huge sell-off at the end of the day. Right here, we had the S&P 500, this huge buy up, then a huge sell-off. Hours later, NASDAQ, we had the huge buy up and then the huge sell-off. Now we are having a little bit of a correction back to the upside. Obviously, we want to see really good news for the economy. Love to see the economy pumping and going in the right direction. So we hope to see a continued recovery. All right, so let's take a little look around the markets here. So XRP currently sitting down 1.72%. We are at 42.25 cents for XRP. We do have a couple of things still in the markets here for our indicator, Market Liberator. It is still showing that it wants to be a buy. Even though we've had this massive sell-off, it has not hit its stop loss. And again, none of this information is financial advice. Do not buy or sell or trade because an indicator shows it on the screen here. Just want to let you know, Market Liberator is something that we use every once in a while, and we do not 100% rely on it. But as we can see, we have an A, B, C potential D corrective move, getting us back up into this supply and demand zone that we've been following up here at 51 cents. Also, our magic white line still sitting at 51 cents. So we will continue to follow that. We need good news in the markets, good news in the XRP versus, or the Ripple versus SEC case for XRP to really pump, but we will continue to watch and monitor XRP. Also, Bitcoin, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently trading at, let's take a look here for the day. It is currently sitting at 27,372. It is down 0.89%. It had a nice rally up to its 14 exponential moving average before having a sell-off. Ethereum this morning also having a rally up to its 14 exponential moving average before having a sell-off on the daily charts here. This one is currently sitting at 1823, And this one also is in a current buy indicator from Market Liberator, has a long signal here. Obviously, it's in a long pullback. Its take profit is targeted up here at 21.53. So could we see one last surge to the upside for Ethereum? There's a lot of talk that market may be crashing. You hear this sell in May and walk away, but we're going to continue following. Looks like some positive potential for Ethereum. We also have our weekly indicator. It also is showing a positive potential up to 2,500. Bitcoin's weekly sell is, it already hit its purchase. So it was a long indicator from down here. And that actually went up, hit its take profit, which its take profit was at 25,000. So that was a long time ago. We can see right now, today, Bitcoin did drop down to that bottom of our supply and demand zone that we've been following for quite some time. Let's go back to the daily. You can see it got very close to the bottom level of that. If we lose that level, we could be breaking and falling back down. A lot of people are calling for that 25,000 Bitcoin. There's a potential of another third surge, right? So 3 drives of the high. There was drive number 1, drive number 2, and then this is kind of falling off. But do we get one more surge to the upside for Bitcoin? Ethereum, same scenario, surge number 1, but we didn't really get that second surge. Do we get it on Ethereum right there? XRP currently trading, like we said, at 42 cents. It had 1 surge, 2 surge, 3 surge. So that may have been its third drive to the high. However, it is still in a long. It also has an ABCD pattern potentially playing out on the harmonics pattern for a cipher. And there is the magic white line. It has tested it twice already. Will it get there a third time? There is a daily supply and demand sitting down here at 36 cents to the downside. We'll have to watch that. And again, we've been talking about this. RSI not quite all the way to the oversold territory. So there's definitely room to the downside. Taking a look here at Ethereum. Let's take a look and see what we have for supply and demand zones to the downside here. We have this one, which it's currently sitting in now. We have one below it, which is here, which is actually where it taps. So look, check this out. We'll go ahead and remove this upper one because today it went and dipped into this supply and demand zone. So if we hold that, we're good. If we lose that, there's potential of the drop to the lower level 1,478 supply and demand zone for Ethereum. There is still positive momentum though, showing from the indicator. Taking a look here at Bitcoin on the daily, we are in its hold pattern. If it does not hold the supply and demand zone, as we talked about, we have the magic white line here at 25,000, but there's also a daily supply and demand zone all the way back down here at, let's take a look at this, 20,629. Let me zoom in. It's kind of difficult to read. 20,829. So that's what we got for the market update. Hope you guys enjoyed the CPI information.